Millions of people left without any power in Texas now dealing with a new crisis. They have little or no clean water. Residents across that state are now being urged to boil their water for safety after pipes cracked, wells froze, and water treatment plants were knocked offline. The question still remains, how did this happen? Congressman Louis Gohmert of Texas' 1st Congressional District joining us live. Congressman, always good to see you. First, foremost, how are the people in your district doing today? I understand there are several boil water advisories there in the state. Is that in your district, and how are they doing?
Yes, it has been. We've had it right here at my own home. And we've boiled a lot of water, and we've been filling toilet tanks with outside water and snow. So people are just adapting, doing what they have to do. But it was such a big shock that we were not better prepared. Texas has its own grid. But unfortunately, after a federal report recommended 10 years ago weatherizing our energy plants, that wasn't done. The focus was more into creating solar and wind power, and they didn't properly winterize the plants. And the problem with the water shortage is largely because of the plants having power outages themselves, going to generators, and bursting main water lines. So they're getting those fixed. There's a lot less people that are without water, but that has been one of the problems here in Texas.
I want to talk to you about the Electric Reliability Council of Texas. This is something that Governor Abbott has brought up. He said that ERCOT basically said, we're prepared for this. And indeed, they were not. The governor said he does take responsibility because he oversees this. Nevertheless, why would that council say they're prepared? Clearly, they were not. What are you hearing?
Well, I'm hearing from a lot of upset people, and I'm one of them. ERCOT they don't, by the way, they don't produce a single watt of electricity. Their job is to oversee the Texas grid and make sure it's prepared for all emergencies, all situations, and that didn't happen. And then we find out, the chair of the board of ERCOT is from Michigan, a wonderful state, lots of friends there. The vice chair is from California. Now, if I lived in Michigan or California, I would not want a Texan in charge of my energy. That needs to be something that is local, where the energy is being produced, so that you can oversee it better. So I know the governor has indicated we're going to look at the creation and the nominations for board membership, and those things should have been looked at a long time ago, because we should have been ready for this. We pride ourselves on being ready for emergencies, and people are doing great. I got out. There are very few people getting out. It's still pretty rough around here, but they got great attitudes. But when ERCOT comes up, their attitude changes dramatically. It did not do the job it was created for.
I understand, many are playing the blame game at this time. Some of that blame gets shifted to green energy and how Texas has moved a little closer and closer with green energy. And I just want to note something that you brought up before. If we can just pop up that tweet, guys. What you said is you tweeted that the Fed pressure to get Texas to move forward with green energy has cost us the ability to provide our citizens with the energy we need. We have the means to keep our state running, but if Dems get in our way, Texas will become like California with unreliable energy sources, end quote.
Yep.
Do you still believe that? And does that apply to this situation?
Yeah, the federal pressure was, let's move more and more to solar and wind energy, and Texas has continued to do that. Well, it's one thing to do that, but you also need to have weatherized your plants. And so the focus was more toward renewable energy sources rather than weatherizing our plants, putting our money there. And that, yes, that's been a problem. Now, we didn't have, I read one report that natural gas plants closed in Texas. Now, my understanding is they did not. There were natural gas problems. We've had so many natural gas wells shut in that we should have been sending down through pipelines that still have yet to be created, but valves froze at places where they were not ready for this kind of cold. But yeah, it has been a problem. And of course, you understand when you have renewable resources like wind and solar, you double the transmission costs to create the transmission lines because you have to have two sets. You have to have transmission lines from the solar, from the wind, and then you also have to double that and have transmission lines from plants that can be relied on at night or when there's no wind, or like now when so many of the windmills froze up. So it is a problem. And of course, we know at the same time in the last 5 years, the last 10, 20 years, since 2000, China has upped its coal plants by over five times. So we're still breathing dirty air coming from China and India while we continue to make our air cleaner. But we ought to be using more natural gas. It's the one that we can rely on as long as we weatherize our facilities and our production.
I know the senator from Texas, Ted Cruz, under hot water right now for going to Cancun. He has returned from Mexico. He has explained and he apologized that he was taking his daughters there and his family there. Your thoughts on the optics of that? And again, he did come back, but what ran through your head when you saw those headlines?
Well, I'll let Ted make the decisions for his family. But you mentioned he's in hot water. There have been a lot of times this week I would have loved to have had hot water. We just didn't have any. But we'll see. Ted said, as I understand, he made a mistake. That's his call, and we're all responsible to those we serve.
But yeah,
hot water is something we need more of.
Yeah, I understand. But you would have liked to see the senator stay in Texas. That's correct.
Well, it's good to be where your constituents are hurting when they're hurting. It allows you to know better what is needed.
Got it. All right, Congressman, thank you so much for your time. Congressman Louie Gohmert joining us live here. Have a great weekend.
Good to be with you. Thank you.
Anytime.